towards atheists because of scientific materialism, in that if everything is explainable, then there's nothing to fear. There's nothing to fear in terms of, as humans, we fear what we can't understand or explain at any given moment. So,
well, I'll tell you one thing, though. I do still fear things that I do understand. I fear sharks.
yeah.
And I can explain to you.
No, but I just mean in general, if you don't have this fear of this otherworldly, thing coming to crash down on your fucking head,
Right, hellfire.
then I guess there's more impetus than to just
Do whatever you want.
do what you want. I mean, people aren't like that necessarily. We all have a moral code and things we live by. It's just that some people don't need religion, some people do. I'm not saying one or the other is right.
But here's the thing. When you ask most people why they believe, they don't answer you because God's going to punish me if I don't believe. Most of the time, people sort of like, the answer that you get the most often, if you ask an individual person, is that I follow the evidence, and I believe this is the most logical thing. And if you ask them why do other people believe, they have a very different explanation. They will say, because it gives them comfort. So even people who do believe in religion don't have a consistent way of viewing why others believe in religion, though they assume that the reason that they believe is very logical. And there are plenty of people that visit my site who are religious, who do it as kind of a way to challenge themselves. They want to look at other opinions, and they want to test their faith. And people on my site do that. They test their faith a lot. I don't know how much they test it, but they do test it. And there is a kind of integrity that people have. I think intellectual integrity is normal and natural in most people. It's just that cognitive dissonance, as we talked before, where you can separate certain parts of your mind, certain beliefs, square them off in a corner of your head where you never really have to consider them. This is one of the ways that you deal with these inconsistencies. Now, to answer the question about whether or not fear is what allows people to act morally, I think you'll agree with me that that's never worked with anybody ever. If you're a rebellious teenager, I don't think that getting punished, grounded, or even beaten has ever stopped you from doing anything you wanted. So I think that the fear element and the punishment element was I think it was a lot more popular back in the day where you were still trying to get people to believe. But I've never heard anyone convincingly say that the reason they were religious was because of hell.
Yeah. Well, follow up to all of this. So, personally, I was raised a Southern Baptist from the age of 1. So, all my great memories of church involve, being sick, sitting there eating peppermints, and having a red-faced guy yell at me telling me I was going to hell. So, I actually kind of disagree with you and feel that, especially in the indoctrination of children, when you're told that after a certain age, when you're held responsible for your actions, if you die, you can go to hell. I feel as if it would be even more of a guiding factor in, holy shit, I need to believe in this, I need to go get saved, I need to get baptized, I need to get my shit together. I'm 12, I don't want to go to hell. So,
here's the thing. I believe that that hell is kind of used as that last resort. Because every single one of us, I have never talked to one religious person who didn't have doubts.
But would they admit that their faith comes from fear?
I have never
I've heard people say it's comforting, but I've never heard someone say it's because I'm afraid.
But not every religion believes in hell. I mean, that's a very Christian thing. In Islam, they believe in hell, but Judaism doesn't believe in hell. Buddhism doesn't believe in hell. There's plenty of religious beliefs that don't require fear. But I think you're right when you say that there is, I think it's the last bastion, because there are definitely some people that are not very religious to begin with. There are just some people that are born skeptical. I think there is a particular part of our personality, probably everybody here, who's just always a little bit more curious. Did you notice that, maybe? That when you were asking your friends that are religious some questions, they'd be like, I really don't think about it, or I don't care. So there is, people who are skeptical, people who are non-believers, I think there is kind of a tendency to ask more questions. And that's why I was saying before that intellectual integrity is the antithesis of religious belief. But I think that at the same time, it's a pretty clever way to just get people to be like, you better stop questioning it, man, or you're going to fucking burn in hell. Yeah.
What do you think about skepticism being overtaken?
What do you mean by
Turned
that?
into New Age beliefs, or...
Well, is skepticism being taken over by New Age people? I don't know many New Age people that are very skeptical.
Skeptical of science, skeptical... Well, that's just...
Oh, so you're saying
more
sort of...
taken,
Okay, well, I mean, I think skepticism of science is probably a very poor form of skepticism. It's just, there are some people that will be skeptical of absolutely everything. They're like, I don't believe this, I don't believe that, I don't believe in nothing. Okay, fine. You can't have a very interesting conversation with a person who doesn't actually believe in anything. But I don't. Is there? What, in New Age or in not believing in things?
In New Age.
Because I can tell you there's no money in not believing in things. I can tell you that right now. No money.
Alternative medicine.
Oh, well, alternative medicine, yes, there is quite a bit of money. I've always dreamed that I could sell water for exorbitant prices, but can't exactly. But no, I don't generally feel that skepticism is that much. Like it is, there are probably some people that overuse it a little bit, but generally I find that actually we're not very skeptical as a society in general. So we accept the claims that people make, often just because they're authorities. Well, if a guy in a white coat tells you that homeopathy is real, you might be tempted to be like, oh, he's in a white coat, I better fucking believe it.
Just a comment on that. There's a big difference between skepticism and denialism. What I mean by that is you can be a skeptic and follow the scientific method, look for evidence, and come to conclusions based on evidence, or you can deny different things about science. And there's a lot of deniers about science in general and specifically about medicine. Deniers of medicine fall into New Age medicine, alternative medicine. So there's a big difference, in my opinion, between a denier and the terminology. Depends on what side of the fence you're on in a lot of issues today. And terminology of skepticism is used when really denier should be used, not skeptic.
But people should know about calling themselves skeptics.
But
Well,
if you are a global warming skeptic, you're really a global warming denier, but they will not call themselves a global warming denier. That's the point I'm making.
I can understand the distinction. So basically what you're saying is that there's the difference is a skeptic is a person who says, I require data, I require evidence, right. And a denier is someone who's like, I'm going to flat out not believe in it, and I don't give a shit what you say.
If you're an anti-vaxxer, you're not an anti-vaxxer denier to them. You're an anti-vaxxer skeptic.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
No, it's a great point. It's a great point.
You ever want to see the difference between skepticism and denialism? Just go to any YouTube video about the moon landing. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, that's a pretty, that's a really popular one.
That's skepticism raised to a religious belief, essentially.
Well,
it's easier for them to believe that hundreds, if not thousands, of people conspired to make something fake than something real actually occurred.
Well, actually, what's interesting about conspiracy theories in general is that they kind of show how gullible / skeptical we really are. So you start from a position of skepticality of saying, well, I don't really think that's true. And then you try to find evidence of it not being true and disregard any of evidence of it being true. I mean, you find what you were looking for. And that's kind of like, that's a bit of a problem once in a while. Even us, we could be accused of doing that, right? We are often prejudiced towards opinions that support our foregone conclusions. I would like to believe, though, that as an atheist, as a skeptic, that I've been fair, that I've considered all the options. That I didn't just say, fuck it, there is no God. I don't want to believe in it because I don't like it. That I really try to put myself in the position of saying, what if there was one? What would a world with a God be like? Or what would a universe be like if there was a God? So And I'm still slightly open to it. I mean, I'm not going to tell you that I'm 100% closed-minded towards the idea of deity. But I mean, it's pretty strong evidence for that shit. I'm not just going to believe in something because some dude told me, it's absolutely true, and if you don't believe it, you're going to go to hell, or you won't have any morality if you don't believe in this. I think it's also strange that religious people tend to not think that we're inherently good people. I'll refer to Christianity here mostly, because Christianity really doesn't